So we are going to continue with the elements of the Excel window. Yes. Oh, let's tomorrow. Tomorrow after class, if you can. We'll, yeah. Only students who were not able to take the test yesterday.
Yeah.
If you did not pass the test, you have to wait a week. Okay, let's go ahead and open our basics of Microsoft Excel 2016. Okay, so let's, oh, what was I gonna do? Let's look at what we're doing today. It's 428. So today we are going to start by discussing the elements of the word window. Then you're gonna work in a group to discuss those elements. Then we're going to spend time discussing those, whatever questions you come up while you're discussing them. Then we're gonna discuss the homework. Okay. So opening the basics of so yesterday we talked about how what a hyperlink is. What? Oh, wrong document in Microsoft Word. Hyperlink. I'm like, what? What's that?
Are you taking a quiz today, now or later?
Well, I was going to leave it until tomorrow, after class tomorrow. Microsoft Excel. Excel. No, 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 I don't want this. Microsoft Excel. Downloads. Microsoft Excel. Downloads. Downloads. Oh, come on now. No, that wasn't there. Well, this is Word. Oh, no, I don't want that. Oh, geez. Okay, let's see if we can find it another way. Basics of Microsoft Word. Why am I having some difficulties finding this? There we go. Finally found it. So we were talking about what a spreadsheet is and what a digital spreadsheet. So a spreadsheet is the actual paper, the book that businesses used to use to record their data. But once computers came into general use, they created digital spreadsheet. And there was a struggle at the beginning. Microsoft Excel wasn't the dominant digital spreadsheet at the beginning. There were other programs that were top, but things changed. And we talked about how the spreadsheet is used to calculate, organize, analyze, display, used for a whole bunch of different things. And a digital spreadsheet and also a paper spreadsheet is a tabular form. So we talked about the meaning of tabular related to table. And anything that's tabular is organized in with with columns and rows. That's tabular. It has columns and rows. And grid is the same meaning. Grid meaning it has columns and rows. And one word we didn't really discuss much yesterday was simulate. Simulate, I would say it means imitate, but it goes beyond imitate.
Are you recording?
Huh?
Are you recording? Recording?
Recording. Yeah, I'm recording. Thank you. Okay. So simulate is like imitating. So it was and remember that that's what computers were first created to do, to compute, right? To calculate large numbers, because it's difficult for a human to sit and calculate large numbers and complicated numbers. So that's why they create something, a machine that could compute numbers very fast. And that's why they started creating computers. And that's why computers have the name computers. And one. So it seems like always when Microsoft releases new programs, new applications, they always release for PowerPoint, I mean, not PowerPoint, for Macintosh, for Apple. They always release for Apple first, and then a few months later, they release for Windows computers. So then we talked about the start screen for Microsoft Excel 2016. And we saw that the start screen of the Microsoft Excel 2016 looks different from the start screen of the Microsoft Excel 365. So it's important to know what the Excel 2016 start screen looks like. And this is what the Microsoft Excel start screen looks like. On the left side, on the green side, you have your recent and you can open other workbooks. On the right side at the top, you have the search box. Right below the search box, you have different options of templates that you can open. To the right of that, you have where you can log in to your Microsoft account and do some other things as well. And then below that, you have your templates. And included in those templates is the Excel worksheet, either worksheet or workbook. I can't read what it says because it is the blank Excel worksheet is a template. It's set up with everything for you to just go in and start creating stuff. ¿Cómo está?
¿Quieres dárselo a mismo? Voy yo como estar ahí y después pueden ver el video si quieres esperar hasta ahí.
¿Quién más tiene que?
Creo que Concepción. Luz.
Okay. ¿Quién está?
Solo Ana está ahí.
Okay, está bien.
Solo Ana está ahí.
No, hay alguien más. Oh, tú estás.
Yo, porque me metí para ver la asistencia.
Okay. Okay. So, que las puedes llevar al otro. Ujú. And Maria.
Oh, Maria. Yeah. Bring your laptop and remember you have to watch the video today later. The class.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm? Oh, your earplugs. You don't have?
It's great.
You can- Here, here, here.
There is the.
Oh, there.
Do you have? Do you have yours? Huh? Do you have yours? No.
Yeah, let's wait until they get ready. So let's just continue until they're ready. So, huh? So, so then we started talking about the elements of the Excel window. And we have the list here of all the elements that we're going to read about and study on page 4. And on page 5, we have the names and places of all of the elements that we're going to discuss. So the ones that we already are familiar with, like quick access toolbar, title bar, ribbon, status bar, scroll bars, view buttons, zoom slider. Unless you have questions about those, we're not going to even talk about those. We're just going to talk about the things that are part of Excel only. So let's go ahead and open a blank Excel. Opening a blank Excel. A blank workbook. And we're going to save it right now. So the name that we're going to save it as is, let me write that down. That's what we're going to save. That's the name we're going to save it with. We're saving the blank Excel that we just opened.
By itself or in Excel folder?
We're only using the Excel folder now.
Okay.
So, so you're gonna save it and you're giving it the file name practice. We're saving it in the Excel folder in OneDrive. Mhm.
We have to write this and save? No.
Did you open? Go ahead.
I open a new document.
What? Go ahead.
The open Word. Yes. You have to open Excel. Yes. Yes.
Don't forget, if you don't have Excel pinned to your taskbar, go ahead and pin it now. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so now that we have it saved, this is what we're going to be using every day as we learn about Excel. So let me go ahead and save mine now. Okay. So here we have, of course, this is the 365 look of the Excel worksheet, but all the different elements are in the correct place as the Excel 2016. So yesterday we started out talking about what you see right below all those letters. Those, what did we say that those boxes are called? Cells, exactly. All of those boxes are called cells. And a cell is created at the intersection. Intersection, you know, when they're talking about streets, they talk about the intersection where that area where one street meets the other street, right? That's the intersection. So a cell is the intersection of a column and a row. So when a column meets a row, that's the intersection. So a cell is the intersection of when a column meets a row. You get a cell. So exactly like when one street meets another street, you get a little square there, right? Okay. So a cell is the intersection of a column and a row. And there are millions of cells in an Excel worksheet. Later on, we're going to talk about the difference between a worksheet and a workbook. But you'll hear me saying both of them regularly, worksheet and workbook. They are different. They're not the same thing, but we'll talk about it later. So in Excel, you can see the letters above the grid. That area where you have all the cells, that is called a grid. A grid is also where you have squares. So right above the grid, you have the letters. And those, and on the left side, you have numbers. So each cell has an address, just like houses, buildings, they all have addresses so that we can find them easily, right? So the same with cells in Excel. They all have cell addresses. And the cell addresses are written a specific way. You always write the column letter first, and then you write the row number. Always column first, then row. And you can see whenever you open Excel, it always has an active cell. The active cell is the one that has that green border and then a little square in the lower right corner. So the default cell address in Excel is always cell A1. When you first open Excel, you look in the name box and it will have A1. And that's the address of that first cell in the upper left corner. And you can see it has the green border. Only the active cell will you see in the name box. Only when a cell is active. So right now, A1 is active. Now it's getting warm. Excuse me. So like I said, the default is A1. If you click any cell, it becomes the active cell. And as soon as it becomes the active cell, the name box changes. So now my active cell is N10. And you can see easily, if you look at the column headers, the column letters above, you can see N is the one that's highlighted. And if you look at the numbers on the left, 10 is the one that's highlighted. So go ahead and click N10. Check the number box and check the column headings and the row headings. Anyone has any questions?
So when you click on the cell, it activates both of them.
When you click in a cell, you'll see the column letter, you'll see it highlighted, and you'll see the row number highlighted. So if you see an active cell and you just look up at the top to see which letter is highlighted, and you look on the left to see which number is highlighted. Or you just look in the name box because, right, because if you have, let's see, you scroll down, for instance, and you scroll to the right. You're here and you're not seeing, you can't see the active column. You can't see the active row. So you have to look in the name box. You understanding what I'm saying? Yeah,
So
okay.
now we have a scroll bar at the bottom.
Yes, Excel always shows the horizontal scroll bar and the vertical scroll bar, always shows that. Not like Word. Also, well, we can do Control N, Control END to go back to A1. Let's say we want to go to a particular cell. The fastest way to do it is to enter the cell address in the name box. So let's say we want to go to triple A 110. So we want to go to cell AAA 110. So we click in the name box and we type AAA 1, 2, 3. That's AAA. What number did I say? 110. And then you type 110. AAA 110. And then you press enter. And it takes you there. Look at the column letters. Look at the row numbers. You're not doing it correctly. Click in the name box. Did you click in the name box? It has to work in that. Remember, class, this up here, right here, is the name box. You need to the name box. This is the name box. Click in it. Click. Close it. Close it and reopen it. Close it and go to Live Explorer.
One thing.
Close the whole thing. Okay, so you're. My cell was active, was open, the insertion point was blinking. Yeah. The insertion point is blinking, so you can't do anything. But I can only do something in that. So please, I will forget that. No, so,
One thing.
one drive and look Rosario. One drive and look, oh, that's Excel. One. Practice, what do you have to practice? A little bit. Click. There, you have triple A. Triple A. No, you don't have, if something is selected, it's select stop. If something is selected, you don't have to click backspace or delete. If something is selected, you just type. No space. 110. Press enter. Press enter. Now you see, that's what. And we're. And there's the active cell. Good. Maximize, minimize, go to the taskbar. Excel. Maximize. Okay, so we can. Triple A, 3A, and T1. Highlight. Right. Any questions? So by the way, whenever you have anything like that, where you can see the insertion point blinking and stuff, you cannot do anything anywhere else. I can click here. See, I can't do anything here. I can't do anything. Oh, yeah, I can put the insertion point there. Okay, but I can't do anything here. Until I click somewhere else and no more insertion point blinking. Then I can click here. Okay. So there's a problem with some of the Excel wasn't working for some students. And it happened that their active cell was active. I mean, it wasn't just the active cell, but it had the insertion point blinking in the cell. Whenever you have the insertion point blinking in the cell, you can't do anything in the name box. You can see you can't do anything. The name box won't work. So you have to click away from that. And then you can click. Let me show you something again. If I have the insertion point blinking in a cell, go down right above the start button. Go right above the start button. You can see it says enter. right? Everyone sees that?
No.
Right above the start button. Right above the start, you need to have your window maximized firstly. Right, look right above the start button.
Next to the new sheet? No, at the bottom.
You don't know where the start button is?
Start. Say start.
Right above the start button.
When I hover about it, it says ready to, ready.
That's what I'm talking about. I said double click in a cell. Double click in a cell. And it says what? Right above the start button, what does it say when you double click in a cell? Huh? Enter.
Enter. What?
Look right above the start button. First, double click in a cell. You have to double click in the cell. Are you seeing what I'm talking about? You double click in the cell and you look down right above the start button. Remember, the start button is this thing right here. That's the start button. Right above it, it says enter. You have to double click in a cell. Yes, enter. It says enter. It says enter. So it means it's telling you that you can type, you can enter data in the cell. Now click away once, click once in another cell. Now look at it again. What does it say now? Ready. So when it's ready, it's just the active cell. Once you double click in that cell, it changes to enter. What? You have to double click in the cell. Oh, okay. Let me see. When does it say edit? Okay, so you double click once in a cell, it says enter. Then click once again in the cell and it changes to what? Edit. So the first time you double click another cell. The first time you double click, what does it say? Then click again in the cell, edit. And then click away, click another cell, ready. So the active cell works, it works.
I'm the one who the data.
Right. Now click again in the cell. Yeah. Oh, now what does it say? What does it say? Now click away. Now what does it say?
Ready. It doesn't click here. It's like enter. And I click away.
Oh, okay.
That's the
I didn't see that.
So to work that make us
Right.
Different views.
So if something is not working, if, if, if something is not working in Excel, you try to do something and it's not working, always look there. If it doesn't say ready, you have to go to whichever cell where the insertion point is blinking. Or you could just click away. No, don't start again. Just click away until you see ready. Then when it says ready, you can do anything. But if it says enter or edit, it means that there's an insertion point blinking in a cell somewhere in the worksheet. Any questions about that? Okay. That's important to know because otherwise you'll continue. What's happening? What's up? You close, you open, you save, open another one. But it's just as simple as that. Just clicking away and it's back to normal. Okay, and we can press Control Home to go back to A1. Any questions before we move on? So that's the name box. So question, what does the name box display? What do you call what you see in the name box? Cell what? Think about your house. Think about your house. Think about your house. Right, the cell address. Cell address. That's what you see in the name box.
I never forget this now.
Uh-huh. So the cell address of the active cell is what you're always going to see in the name box. The cell address of the active cell is what you're going to see in the name box. There are other advanced uses for the name box, but we're not going to be doing that. So all you need to know for this class is that the active cell, you see that cell address in the name box. And how do you write a cell address? How do you write a cell address? Right, the what? Letter is what? Column, and the number is what? Exactly. 1 second. Huh? Yeah. Loida?
For example, if this is all the I work is full. I work all in this. And I want to look for one specific cell. I put there.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly, exactly.
thank you.
And tell you what, there are over 16,000 columns in a worksheet. Over 16,000 columns in a worksheet. and over 1 million rows in one worksheet. Over 1 million rows. Over 16,000 columns. Imagine how difficult it is to navigate in something with data half of what is available.
Data, that when we say data, is it going to take us to any number?
Mhm.
What does it you put in a set?
Right. So data is whatever you find in a cell. Okay, so now we're finished with name box, unless there are any other questions about the name box. So next thing is number 5, the formula bar. Let's see what number 5 says about the formula bar. Displays the data entered in the active cell. Can be used to enter data into an active cell. So the formula bar displays the data entered in the active cell. So let's say I type the number 1 in the active cell. You can see it in the formula bar. If I click, let's say in cell M5, go ahead and click in cell M as in Mary, M5, and type your first name. You can see it in the formula bar. One thing you have to know about when you are entering data in a cell, whenever you are entering data in a cell, you'll continue to see the insertion point blinking until you finalize. You have to finalize. Otherwise, you'll just continue entering data in that same cell. So once you are finished entering data, there are several ways to finalize. There are several ways to finalize. If you want to keep that same cell as the active cell, you press Control Enter, and it remains as the active cell. And that's one way to finalize. Once you press Control Enter, you don't see the insertion point blinking anymore. Right. Okay, and you can always do Control Home to return to A1. Control Home will always take you back to A1.
So if we just enter, it doesn't finalize?
That is also a way to finalize. We're going to talk about that later. All the different ways that you can finalize. Okay, what I want you to do now is press Tab. Tab, the Tab key on the keyboard. Tab right about above the caps lock. Now we're going to click in the formula bar. We're one. Okay, so is everyone, what does your name box say? What's the address in the name box? B1. So everyone's name box should have the address, the cell address B1. So now, what? What? We did that. Didn't I say to do that? Type 1 and A1? Yeah, we did it before. After, I just need you to press the tab key and just hold up, wait. So we can enter, when we have an active cell, and you'll always have an active cell. When you open Excel, you'll always have an active cell. So we can click in the formula bar and type, let's say today is what, Thursday. Type Thursday in the formula bar. And you can see as you type it in the formula bar, it is entered in the active cell. So you can either type in the active cell or you can type in the formula bar. Remember. Thursday. And once you type Thursday, wait, let me see. You can press tab key to finalize, or you could press tab, yeah. So that's another way you can finalize a cell after you enter something in a cell. So you can, the first one that we did was Control Enter. That's one way to finalize. Another way to finalize is tab. Go ahead.
When you say finalize, to get a new cell,
To finish what you have entered.
and it takes us the next page of the cell.
No, there are different ways to do it. When we did Control Enter, we remained in that same cell. When we pressed Tab, we went to the cell to the right. Okay? So that's the formula bar. Any questions about the formula bar? Any questions? Formula bar, okay. So let's see what is next. Formula bar is number 5. Where's number 6? Active cell. So we've already talked about the active cell. It's always the cell that has the green border. That's the active cell. And that's the cell address that you'll see in the what? The cell address of the active cell. Where do you see it?
The active cell is the cell you select.
Where do you see the cell address of the active cell? Where do you see it? Name box. In the name box. The cell address, the name box always shows the cell address. And then number 7 is cell, right? all of those, actually, they're not squares. I keep saying they're squares. They are rectangles. So all of those rectangles that you see, each one is called a cell. And usually there's only one active cell. So now number 8, column. What do you have at the heading of a column? What do you have at, huh? Letters. And then number 9 is row. What do you have at the heading of a row? Numbers. Okay, so let's see what it says to us. Active cell, the cell that is currently selected. It has a green border and is available to have data entered. Type and data will be entered automatically, right? So active cell, C1 is active, right? So all you have to do is type. If there's something in there, press Shift and Tab. Shift and Tab. Press Shift and Tab. What does Shift and Tab do? Right. Takes you to the cell to the left. So cell B1 is the active cell. It has data in the active cell. So if we were to type, let's say we type Monday, it automatically removes what was in that cell and replaces it with what you type. So you should be always careful about which cell is active. You should always be careful about where you're entering data, because it's as easy as that to delete something. Is your active cell C1? Which is your act? So you press the Shift key, hold it, and press the Tab key. Press and hold Shift and then Tab. Right, exactly. And then type Monday. Type Monday. And you can see as soon as you start typing Monday, it deletes what was there. So that's one warning. Warning. Always, always, always be careful where you enter data. And I'm keep repeating this so that if you're on the job, you always need to be careful, because you can really mess things up in Excel if you're not careful. Because it's easy, it's that easy to delete data in Excel. It's that easy. Any questions?
How do you go back to the cell?
Which cell?
Like if I'm on cell 3, how can I go back to number B?
To cell what?
To number B. I just asked him a question.
And we're also learning as we're using Control Enter, Tab, Shift plus Tab. those are all different ways to move from one cell to another cell. But they all do something different, right? Control Enter keeps you right there on the same cell where you enter data. Tab moves you to the cell to the right. Shift plus tab moves you to the cell to the left. And you can see the insertion point is still blinking where we type Monday. So if we are not careful, we can begin typing. Let's say we type today, the word today. So if we're not careful, we'll continue typing in that same cell when we meant to enter that, when we meant to enter today in a different cell. So just backspace to remove today, and then finalize by pressing the tab key. Okay, so what's next? So row, the last one was row. So any questions about name box, formula bar, active cell, cell, column, row? Any questions about any of those? So now the next thing is the vertical scroll bar. The vertical scroll bar is on the right. Let me move this out of the way, put it over here. So the vertical scroll bar, you can, if you like to click on the bar itself, this is the bar, right? If you like to click on the bar to drag, it's not going to move down below where you are. In order to move down, you have to press the arrow at the bottom. When you press the arrow at the bottom, then it will move down. And then you can always drag the bar to move up. But remember, once you move it up, you can't use the bar. Let's say you want to go to row 100. You can't use the bar to move down, right? Can you see that? Can you see that? Try to use the bar, the scroll bar, not the arrows, the scroll bar itself to move down. It's not going to move down. So you have to use that arrow at the bottom of the scroll bar. Use the arrow to move. And also, let's scroll back up. Scroll back up. If you right click on the scroll bar, it gives you options. Scroll here, top, bottom, page up, page down, scroll up, scroll down. Let's see what happens when we scroll down. Right click on the scroll bar again. Click scroll up. Right click on the scroll bar again. Click page down. And it will take you as down as you have gone. It's not going to take you any further below where you have been. It's like moving the insertion point. Remember the insertion point in Word? It's not going to go below where you haven't, if you haven't pressed enter down below a certain point of a page, if you haven't entered something below a certain part of a page, this insertion point is not going to go below that part. The same with the scroll, with the vertical scroll bar. I think I was, is that pointing the vertical scroll bar? Yeah, vertical scroll bar. Now let's look at the horizontal scroll bar. Let's move this back over here. Let's go to the horizontal scroll bar. The horizontal scroll bar is shorter, but the same thing. If you use the scroll bar, if you move the bar itself, it's not going to move too much to the right. It's just going to stay right where you are. So you need to use the right arrow on the horizontal scroll bar. You have to use the right arrow to move to the right. Okay. And you can do this, the scroll bar. You want to move back to the left, you can use the scroll bar. Any questions about the scroll bars? And if you right click on the scroll bar, it gives you similar options as when you right click on the vertical scroll bar. But of course it does horizontally, left and right. Let's see, right edge, okay. Okay, let's see what's next. Scroll bars, vertical scroll bar, horizontal scroll bar is 11. Which one is 12? Tab scrolling buttons. Tab scrolling buttons. It's on the left. Right above the status bar on the left. Right above where it says ready. You have the, what did we call them again? Tab scrolling buttons, but they are grayed out. You can't use them, right? You can't use them. So you can only use them depending on how many worksheets you have in your workbook. So let's say we click to the right, you see the default worksheet. So let me talk a little bit about the difference between worksheet and workbook. Let me see if I find a book around here. Book. Give me a book. In front of me. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So, right, and when you have a book, you have the cover for the whole book. This is the book. When you open the book, you have pages inside. So this is what Excel is like. The workbook is the whole thing. The workbook is the whole thing. Workbook. 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 When you hear workbook, think book. The whole thing, right? The whole thing. When you hear worksheet. When you hear worksheet, think of individual pages. Individual pages. When you save an Excel file, you're saving the whole thing, the workbook. You're saving the book. Inside the book, you can create as many pages, as many worksheets as you want. You can create as many as you want. Any questions about that? Yes, let's look at that right now. So the question is, does every sheet have a different name? So by default, a workbook only opens with only one worksheet. By default, a workbook opens with only one worksheet. And the name of that worksheet, you can see right there to the right of the tab scrolling buttons, sheet 1. That's the name of the default worksheet. Because Excel always open with one worksheet available. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, class, this is really important because maybe the next week we are gonna begin to work with this and Ms. Yolanda is gonna tell you, please open a new worksheet. Please go to cell, she's gonna tell everything by name. You have to learn the vocabulary. That's why you have to copy the vocabulary that she's writing there.
Thank you. In fact, we're going to be creating new worksheets today because we want to see what the tab scrolling buttons do. And unless you have at least 10 or 11 worksheets, you are not going to be able to use the tab scrolling buttons. So to the right of sheet 1, to the right of sheet 1, you have a plus sign and a circle. Put your mouse pointer on it. What does it say? New sheet. So when you want to create a new sheet, you click that. Then you have sheet 2. So you answers your question, Maria Esther? Okay. Then let's click it again. Sheet 4, we're gonna do until we get sheet 12. We're gonna do until we get sheet 12. Sheet 12. You see those 3 dots? You see those 3 dots to the right of the last sheet? You see? You click on those 3 dots so that you'll see sheet 12. To the right, look at your sheet tabs. Look at your sheet tabs. You see 3 dots to the right of the last one? You can't see it on my screen, on your own screen. What's the last number of sheets that you have there showing? If you have sheet 12, then you're not going to see the 3 dots. If you're looking at sheet 12, you're not going to see the 3 dots. No, I'm not talking about the 3 dots here to the left of the horizontal scroll bar. I'm not talking about those three dots. You won't see it now. You'll see it in a minute. If you look on the left at the first worksheet, you'll see to the left of the first worksheet on the left, you'll see the three dots. Okay, so click the three dots. Click once, click twice, then click again, and then it disappears once you can see sheet one. You see that? No, on the left. On the left, we want to see sheet one. So you can't see sheet 12. If you can see sheet one, you cannot see sheet 12. No, mine is maximized too. My window is maximized. The most updated. Because I have to log out of Microsoft account and then log back in. No, before it was one time log back in. So the problem, the problem with the three dots has to do with my version of Microsoft Excel 365. My version of Microsoft Excel 365, you can see looks different than this. So that's problem. So give me one moment. My version of Excel is different than your version. That's why. I was just telling the class that my version of Excel is different from the student version of Excel. So the students in the class could see all 12 worksheets, but I can only see up to number 10.
Miss Yolanda, what time I'm gonna take the test?
1 second, there's a lot of noise in here. Let me increase my volume. Okay, repeat that.
What time I'm gonna take the test?
Oh, who's that?
It's Anna.
We took the test already. You didn't hear me telling students?
No, I was here 9:04, but I didn't hear anything about the test. I've been waiting and I don't see anyone on the Zoom.
All right. Yeah, because we're only doing it in the classroom. We're only doing it in the classroom. But the students that are here already took the test.
Can I take it now?
No. Don't forget the 3 dots. Okay, let's everyone create sheets up to sheet 15. Let's create what? Right now we're at 12. Let's create 13, 14, and 15. Oops, Let me see, undo. So, okay. So let's look at how to delete worksheets because no, don't you see the 3 dots to the right? Click the 3 dots to the right. Click, those are the 3 dots I was talking about. Click the 3 dots to the right. So now you see all the ones up to 15. But then now if you look on the left, what's the first one on the left? No, 19. We don't have a 19. Huh? I said to only do up to 15. Yeah, it's mixed in. It's mixed in, yeah. Depend on which one was active. Yeah. Huh? Right. Then they can see the 3 dots. Mhm. No, they can open, but they can see. They can only see. Well, depending on which sheet was active. Depends on which sheet was active. Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It depends on which sheet was active. If sheet 4 was active, then sheet 13 is going to be to the right of sheet 4, then 14, then 15. Yes, we can move it. So let's move it right now before we delete. So sheet 13, let's start with sheet 13. You click on it. When you click on it, you can see the cursor changes. Let go, let go. Let go, just put your mouse pointer on sheet 13. Just put your mouse pointer on sheet 13. You have a plain white arrow that points up to the left. So now click and hold sheet 13. Click and hold. You see the cursor changes. You don't see the cursor change? Okay, let go. Stop clicking. Let go. Put your mouse pointer on sheet 13. You see the cursor? It's a white arrow that points up to the left. Now click and hold your click. Right there on sheet 13. You can see the cursor changes. Now the arrow, the white arrow, is pointing at a sheet of paper. right? So once you see that cursor, you can notice to the left, there's a black arrow, a really tiny black arrow. So you have to watch that black arrow. So we're gonna drag to the right and drag it and place it. Let's see if we can go. Yeah, we can keep going until you get to sheet 12. Sheet 12, but that black arrow has to be to the right of sheet 12. Sheet 13. Click and hold. Click and hold and drag to the right until you get to sheet 12. Don't let go. Don't let go until I say let go. Class, don't let go until I say let go. I need everyone to be with me. I need everyone to be with me. Concepcion and Mila, I need you to be working with me right now. We are moving sheet 13. 1 second. We're moving sheet 13. So click on it. When you click on it, you can see the cursor changes. When you see the cursor changes, then you can drag. You can drag until you get to sheet 12, right? We are dragging sheet 13. So drag until you see sheet 12. When you see sheet 12, make sure that tiny little black arrow is to the right of sheet 12. If the tiny black arrow is to the right of sheet 12, then you can let go. Let go. And now you can see sheet 12 is to the right of sheet 13. What's that? If you have 14 and 15, you have 13. To the right of 12, sheet 12. What do you mean you don't have 12? Just keep dragging all the way. We haven't deleted anything. Just keep dragging all the way until you can't drag anymore. So you should see sheet 12. Yes, yes, but I said click on sheet 13. I said to only do 15. Hmm? Repeat that. Yeah, we're gonna do it now. We're gonna just go back to one sheet. Okay, class, now we are going to delete all the sheets except sheet 1. So go as far to the right as you can go until you can't go right anymore. And this is how you're going to delete your sheets. We are deleting all the sheets except sheet 1. Okay? So right click on the furthest sheet to your right. To your right. Right click on, go as far to the right as you can.
Delete one.
Then right click on that last sheet and look for delete in the shortcut menu and click delete. And you're going to do that for all the sheets except sheet 1. You're gonna right click on the sheet tab and click delete for all the sheets except sheet 1. We are deleting sheets. You're gonna right click on the sheet tab and then look for delete. So you're gonna delete all the sheets that you created except sheet 1. We're not deleting sheet 1. So go ahead and delete all of them except sheet 1. Hmm? So start, get busy, get busy. We are deleting all the sheets except sheet 1. And we didn't even get to see the scroll, the tab scrolling arrows. We'll look at that another time. So that's what we were looking at. We were looking at number 12, the tab scrolling buttons. So I forgot to do that before we deleted all the tabs. So we are going to, or instead of deleting all those tabs, you can just close that, delete it, and reopen a new, oh, okay. Okay, so now number 13, the sheet tab. So the sheet tab, there's one default worksheet when you open a blank Excel, and the name is always sheet 1. You can see how we add worksheets and how we delete worksheets. Now we're going to rename this worksheet. We're going to rename every worksheet. Every day, we're going to have a new worksheet. And every day, we're going to name the worksheets according to what we have studied that day. So everyone should only have sheet 1. So sheet 1, we're going to name elements. Remember, any name begins with the what? Capital letter. So there are 2 ways that, well, there are several ways. There's always several ways on a computer, but I'm only going to talk about 2 ways to rename. The first way is to just double click where it says sheet 1. And then it becomes highlighted, and then you could just type, but click away. The other way is to right click where it says sheet 1 and click rename. And you can see the same thing happens. It gets highlighted in gray. And the name that we're going to give this worksheet is elements. 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 And remember, in Excel, you always have to finalize any type of data that you enter, you have to finalize. So you can press enter to finalize. Press enter and it's finalized.
Right. Then-
No. Excel is limited with that because you're mostly crunching numbers. When they say crunching, you're adding or analyzing numbers. That's what crunching means. So the next one is the status bar, 14, status bar. Status bar. So we already saw a part of the status bar, right? Where we had ready, we had enter, we had edit. So depending on what you're doing with the cell, with the active cell, you can have it ready with just the green border, or you can have it in enter mode, where you can see the insertion point blinking, or you can have it in edit mode, where once you see the insertion point blinking, you can click again and it will be in edit mode. The status bar, I don't know if you have the accessibility to the right of where it says ready. Do you have that where it says access? You don't? No. Okay. So then we go all the way to the far right of the status bar, and we have the view buttons. The view buttons in Excel are different from the view buttons in Word. So let's look at the names of the view buttons. Normal is the default. Page layout. Go ahead and click page layout. That's what page layout looks like. You can see each sheet, because each worksheet can have as many sheets. And this is how it's going to be printed. This is how your worksheet is going to be printed. This is the different sheets, depending on how much you have. You can see on the left, we have 1 and Thursday in cell A1 and cell B1. But on the right in cell M5, you have your name. So that's how it's going to be printed. This sheet is just gonna print with number 1 and Thursday. And this sheet is only gonna be to print with your first name on it. Let's go to the last. Yes. What? You have to go to the view buttons. Go to the view buttons. Where are the view buttons, Emelsa? If you didn't enter it, you didn't enter it. What? The view buttons. Look at the view buttons to the left of the Zoom slider. Look for normal. Normal is the first one. And then the second one is what? Yes, click on that. That's what we're looking at. What? What? Yeah, you have headers and footers in Excel. Oh, by the way, did everyone bring theirs in? You have to, if you remember, you have to finalize whatever you, in the cell, make sure the status bar says ready. Make sure your status bar says ready. If it doesn't say ready,
Mine is said ready, but I don't have the header. I don't have the. My name is the page layout. I don't have my name. See? Page layout. Oh, okay. But you don't have. Oh, okay. I don't have my name. Like, right name? I have my name.
okay, let's move on. Yes. Go to the status bar, to the right of the status bar, go to the view buttons. The view buttons. The view buttons are to the left of the Zoom slider. Okay. Okay. So then the last view buttons is page break preview. When you click page break preview, you see your pages that are going to be printed, right? So you can change it. You can see how page 1 is wider than page 2. If you want them to be the same size, you see that dashed arrow that separates page 1 from page 2. You can put your mouse pointer on the dash arrow and the cursor changes to a black arrow with 2 sides. Click, hold, and drag to the left until you get them about the same size, I guess. Let me see one more time. Yeah, there, okay. Now they're the same size. So whenever you have a worksheet with data, whenever you have a worksheet with data and you want the sheets to be printed balanced, right? Because you don't want mostly everything to be on one sheet and just a little bit on the other sheet. You want it, each sheet to have a little bit of something. Okay, and let's go back to the view buttons and let's click normal. Let's go back to the normal view. Normal view is where you do all your work. Normal view is where you do all of your work, where you do enter all of your data. When you're ready to print, you click page layout to see how it's going to print. If you don't like how it's going to print, you click page break preview to fix it. But tomorrow we are going to look at when we have a lot of data on a sheet and how we work with it.
Do you like Excel? Yolanda? This was different than the word, right? Because that's the network.
The what?
In the tab.
The what?
Is word different than word. The Microsoft Word, because this is home is selected. We are working in page layout.
Home? What's home?
That was Microsoft Word.
Huh?
I said home tab is active here.
Home? Yeah, what about home tab?
I said that it's different in the Microsoft Word.
The ribbon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be different. Has different things to do. Different program. Okay, let's go back to normal. Okay, let's see what else. And then we have the zoom slider. Then the last thing is the zoom slider. The zoom slider. Okay, let's look at homework. Any questions about zoom slider? Okay. Let's look at the homework. Mhm.
Siempre está haciendo clic, pero ella no hace clic, sino que le right clic y luego hace clic, 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 clic.
Yeah. Ajá.
Entonces, ahora cuando ella intenta borrar una sheet y le da right clic, intenta delete, le tira un documento y le dice que no puede borrar.
Okay.
Entonces no sé cómo hacerlo.
Okay. Give me a minute, let me explain the homework. Okay, 1 second. Let's go to Schoology and open the Microsoft Excel folder in Schoology. And we're gonna download and save the Excel Windows Elements exercise. Excel Window Elements exercise. Download it, and you're saving it in the Excel folder in OneDrive. Download it, and you're saving it in the Excel folder in OneDrive. Excel Window Elements exercise. If you have difficulties remembering the terms of the elements, you need to practice somehow to learn the terms of the elements of the window, because we talk about them all the time. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you're not going to be able to do it. So find a way to learn the names of the elements. That's why I give you homework. So this is the homework, the Excel window elements. So each box has a number, right? And it corresponds to the same.
Good morning, Carlos Rosario. It is 11 a.m. and it is time to dismiss classes. We're going to start with level 2 and GED. Level 2 and GED can dismiss now. Remember, there is food to go. You can grab and go. On your way out.
Okay, everyone, I need your attention. Everyone. Everyone, I need your attention now. I need your attention. This is the handout. This is the handout. It has 16 elements. All the names are there. This is the homework. It has 16 elements. It's the same numbers as in the handout. The same numbers as here. So because these are here already, and you can easily come and look at it, I don't want to see any spelling errors because it's right there for you to see. So what you're going to do in the homework, you're going to click to the right of the number, as far away to the right of the number as you can, and then just type. I don't want you to delete the numbers because you need to know what numbers you're looking at and which numbers you're writing the name of the element. So click as far to the right in the box and then type. As far to the right, and then the insertion point will appear where it's supposed to appear. So like I said, just click as far to the right of the box and then type the name. Doesn't matter if the box is small like number 7, click to the right of the box, all the way to the right of the box, inside the box, and then type. Any questions about that? It's homework, yes. Any questions? What's that? Oh, go ahead. Did we save it? Go ahead and save it to the Excel folder in OneDrive. Save it to the Excel folder in OneDrive. We're saving it to the Excel folder in OneDrive. We're keeping the same file name.
When do you want this folder?
What's that?
When do you want this folder?
But I look at me.
Oh, I think it's.
I did.
I forgot that it was for Monday. I already said, yeah, but. Level 3, computer basics and orientation. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. The same is on yeah. You're welcome. Yes. Okay. You too. Anna, are you able to come into the school next week?
Level 4 and level 1, get ready to dismiss.
I will try if I have someone to look after the baby.
Uh-huh. Okay, so let me know. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
They say they